Tonight, let us journey into the gentle embrace of antiquity as we uncover the poignant tale known as the Lament of the Heliades. In the quiet shadows by the riverbank, these sisters mourned the tragic fate of their brother, Phaeton, and through their sorrow, became eternal symbols of grace and transformation. It is a story steeped in gentle sadness and profound beauty. Settle in and allow your mind to drift as we explore their timeless vigil. And now, let the tale unfold. Amidst the ancient lands where the gentle rhythm of nature prevailed, the Eridanos River flowed with a calm dignity, reflecting the golden rays of the sun. It is here that our story begins, in a world where gods and mortals intertwined their fates. This timeless place bore witness to tales both glorious and tragic, and on this day, it stood as a silent spectator to the determination of a young demigod, Phaeton. Phaeton was the son of the mighty sun god, Helios, whose radiance heralded each new day. Despite being a deity's offspring, Phaeton was driven by an insatiable yearning to affirm his divine heritage. He sought more than just his father's acknowledgement. He desired a testament that would shine as brilliantly as the sun across the heavens. The bond between father and son was strong, yet this ambition steered Phaeton toward a path fraught with risk. Resolved to prove his lineage, Phaeton approached his father with a request that echoed with both boldness and naivety. He beseeched Helios for the chance to drive the sun chariot, an emblem of divine power that blazed across the sky with unrelenting vigor. Helios, radiating with authority yet tempered by love, listened to his son's imploring words. His heart was heavy with concern, for the task was perilous, demanding a mastery that even the most seasoned deities approached with caution. With a voice both tender and firm, Helios attempted to dissuade Phaeton. He recounted the challenges and dangers of guiding the heavenly steeds, each one a fiery embodiment of power and ferocity. The path was not a simple arc across the sky, but a complex traverse through the heavens, along which the slightest miscalculation could lead to disaster. Yet Phaeton's spirit was unwavering, his resolve unbroken. Ambition blazed in his eyes, mirroring the sun's own brilliant light. Reluctantly, and with a father's solemn blessing entwined with a thread of hope, Helios consented to grant his son this singular chance. This decision, born of love and tempered with foreboding, set the stage for a journey destined to etch its mark upon myth and memory alike. As dawn approached, casting hues of orange, red, and amber across the horizon, Phaeton mounted the sun chariot. The celestial vehicle pulsed with the potential of dreams realized and gravitas of responsibilities unimagined. His heart swelled with ambition and courage, each beat aligning with the rhythmic hoofbeats of the horses poised at the threshold of the sky. The moment was both monumental and serene. Phaeton in the driver's seat, his hands gripping the radiant reins, felt the weight of generations of celestial tradition pressing upon him. The sky, an expanse of possibility and peril, lay before him, endless and inviting. As the steeds kicked off, the chariot lurched forward, ascending into the morning light. The sky embraced them, an eternal canvas awaiting the day's grand sweep. Phaeton's journey, hopeful and filled with fiery determination, began with the sun greeting a new day, the world watching in breathless anticipation beneath. Yet, embedded within this tableau of youthful exuberance was an unspoken truth, a gentle warning carried on the whispered breezes, of the perils that awaited beyond the horizon. The mighty sun chariot surged forward, heralding a tale that would unfold in both triumph and lament. It was a journey both glorious and fateful. The sun was high in the sky as Phaeton gripped the reins of Helios's mighty chariot, a mixture of determination and awe written across his youthful face. The horses, powerful and fiery, surged forth with the strength of celestial beings, eager to carry the golden chariot across the heavens. But as the journey pressed onward, Phaeton began to feel the weight of his father's earlier warnings heavy upon him. The steeds strained under his uncertain hand, their blazing energies presenting a formidable challenge to the inexperienced driver. As the chariot raced through the vast expanse, Phaeton struggled to maintain control, his hands clumsily wrestling with the ornate reins. The horses sensed his hesitation and veered off their usual celestial path, sending the magnificent vehicle weaving erratically through the sky. Below, the earth watched in trepidation as the sun's course became unpredictable, its comforting warmth replaced by a wild, scorching intensity. It was at this point that Phaeton comprehended the enormity of his request and the gravity of his ambition. The task was proving far more arduous than any of his youthful imaginings had allowed for. Panic seeped into his heart. The heavenly steeds sensed his fear, and their cooperation unraveled. As they began to lose altitude, their fiery manes brushing dangerously close to the fertile earth, chaos threatened to ignite in their wake. The chariot skirted perilously close to the ground, the radiance of the sun searing the world beneath. Forests burst into flames in an instant, and lush meadows browned and withered under the intensity of the scorching blaze. Rivers boiled, and verdant landscapes succumbed to nature's inferno, leaving behind scorched earth and smoke-filled skies. Desperation gripped Phaeton as he witnessed the havoc he was wreaking. His cheeks flushed like the blazing embers he commanded, the magnitude of his actions clear in the ruins unfolding beneath him. He could hear the cries of anguish rippling up from the ground, the pleas of mortals echoing to the skies, begging for relief from the fiery torment encroaching upon their lands. Above, Helios watched with a father's heart torn between pride and concern. Bound by his promise to allow his son this chariot ride, he remained an observer of Phaeton's reckless descent, his own power rendered distant by the choices made. Meanwhile, the cosmos too bore witness to the catastrophe unfolding near its celestial realm. The sun chariot veered wildly, leaving trails of fire that danced upon the air, symbols of the young Phaeton's perilous and tumultuous ascent through the heavens. Every moment only deepened the young driver's helplessness, his dreams of glory overshadowed by a reality spiraling beyond his control. The mighty steeds, sensing the imbalance, galloped with restless energy, their great hooves stirring up more than just celestial winds. It was the onset of devastation, a reminder of ambitions unbridled by caution. Mortals far below sent their prayers skyward, their once fertile lands now battlegrounds against the relentless flames birthed by this celestial misadventure. Their cries punctuated the air, a chorus of distress amid the cinders and ash settling over the ancient landscapes. Villages and cities, rivers and forests, all lay vulnerable beneath the reckless path traced by the chariot in turmoil. As the sun reached its zenith, the intensity of its proximity was unbearable, turning the midday sky into a backdrop of scarlet and gold, a contrast to the dread palpable on Earth. The radiant heat smothered the lands, driving creatures into frenzies of survival as summer scorched beyond their natural limits. Surely, the hand of the divine must soon intervene. In the tumult of this reckless journey, Phaeton held on, the reins biting into his hands, signs of the unforgiving resolve of the task he had undertaken. The once sturdy ground beneath humans trembled under the fiery barrage, while an unseen tension wrapped the heavens in anticipation. Amidst this chaos, the stage was set for a power greater than ambition, to decide the fate of the balance so carelessly disturbed. As you listen and reflect on this chapter, the story of Phaeton and the challenge of his ill-considered ascent is one of caution, of understanding the limits of youthful desire. We close now on a precipice of intervention, knowing that the gods begin to stir above and witness the burgeoning crisis in need of their celestial touch. As the celestial sphere turned turbulent with Phaeton's reckless endeavor, the heavens prepared to respond. The once serene flow of the Eridanos River was now overshadowed by mounting chaos in the sky, urging divine intervention. From his lofty abode, Helios, the radiant sun god, gazed sorrowfully at the scene unraveling before him. The sight of his son, Phaeton, helplessly careening through the sky, burdened his heart with a heavy sadness, mingling the light of the sun with a dark cloud of impending loss. Although Helios knew the risks inherent in Phaeton's desire to drive the sun chariot, his paternal love had clouded his judgment, leading him to reluctantly consent. Now, he witnessed the tragic consequences of ambition unguided by experience. Each flick of the sun's fiery steeds ignited fresh waves of tumult, sending a ripple of despair through the divine ranks. The gods watched from their exalted positions, seeing destruction spread across the earth below. Fertile lands began to char, rivers simmered, and mortals cried out in distress. This spectacle did not escape the attention of the formidable Zeus, king of the gods, whose role was to maintain celestial order. He observed with a stern gaze, understanding that resolution lay solely in divine hands. As the sun's chariot skidded off its celestial path, Zeus's resolve to act grew stronger. Sitting high atop the clouds of Olympus, he contemplated the actions required to reclaim harmony. Around him, the skies crackled with electric power, a prelude to his mighty intervention. In his grasp, the thunderbolt, both a weapon of justice and renewal, shone with a silver luminescence, potent and lethal. Before casting the bolt, a moment of quiet contemplation hung heavy in the Olympian air. Zeus, though decisive, did not act in haste. The weight of each decision, each elemental force he commanded, was considered. To end Phaeton's perilous flight meant extinguishing a life, yet it was essential to protect the greater good, to prevent untold disaster upon the earth. Meanwhile, a young Phaeton, now amid the tempest of his making, stumbled upon a moment of profound emotional realization. The ambition that once drove him was now a shadow of fear and understanding. He saw fuel-laden flames drop toward the earth, consuming all in their path, and knew his desire to prove himself had come at too high a price. This insight, bittersweet and tinged with regret, came as he braced himself for the fate that Zeus would soon deliver. With a swift, calculated movement, Zeus raised his arm, releasing the thunderbolt with commanding authority. The weapon hurtled downwards, cleaving through skies and striking the chariot with an explosive burst of fiery orange. At that moment, the heavens echoed with a mournful sigh. The reckless journey brought to a sudden halt as Phaeton was cast from the sky. As the smoke cleared and the sky began to calm, a somber stillness fell over Olympus. The gods, though relieved that chaos had ceased, mourned the necessity of such measures. Helios turned his gaze earthward, lamenting the fate of his son. Although the immediate danger had passed, the realization of loss rippled through the divine realms as the sun dipped towards the horizon, casting long shadows over the cooled earth below. With order restored in the celestial expanse, the attention of the divine turned to mortals below and to the consequences etched on the world. This calamity, though quelled, had left its mark both in the hearts of gods and on the terrain crossed by the sun's earlier rage. It was a reminder of the delicate balance within which both mortals and immortals dwelled, where each action bore weight against the threads of destiny interwoven through time. The chapter closes on a reflective note, with the divine realm resetting to its peaceful norm, while the stage is set below for the responses and mourning yet to come. This celestial reckoning, though firm in its decision, would resonate far deeper, calling forth those who would mourn at the riverbank and setting in motion a transformation bound by love and eternal remembrance. Phaeton's journey had reached its devastating climax, and now, cast down by Zeus's merciful yet resolute hand, he began his tragic descent from the heavens. As the thunderbolt struck its mark, time seemed to slow. Phaeton, once full of ambition and reckless courage, was now enveloped by the fire he had desired to command. The fiery streaks marked his fall, painting the sky in colors of burnt orange and deep red, an ephemeral canvas of his defiance against celestial order. Below, the Eridanos River snaked through the land, its placid waters mingling with the smoky horizon. The river seemed to await him, ready to cradle the echoes of his final flight. All around, the leaves of the trees whispered stories of other heroes and others who had dared to touch the realms beyond their grasp, only to be met with destiny's gentle yet uncompromising hand. Helios, the radiant sun god and Phaeton's father, looked on from afar. His gaze was sorrowful, his heart heavy with the burden of a father who had witnessed the fall of his son. Helios, powerful and proud, knew too well the perils of ambition untamed, yet the pain in his chest was as real as the solar flames that glowed in his chariot. The sun itself seemed to dim, casting long shadows across the earth, as if in mourning. As Phaeton plummeted, his final thoughts were of his family, his father, and his sisters, the Heliades, who often walked the riverbanks where he now fell. In regret, he wished for a chance to amend his youthful audacity, but the earth's embrace was inevitable. The sky, once his theater of ambitions, now offered a quiet stage for profound reflection and acceptance. Meanwhile, Helios's horses returned home, the wild fervor of their journey transformed into a weary resignation. Their hooves, which had once thundered across the heavens with fiery intensity, now tread a path back to the starting point, each step a solemn echo of their burdened voyage. They too were part of this tale, creatures of legend and witness to divine resolve. Upon the earth, a quiet settled in Phaeton's wake, as though nature itself had paused to absorb the event. The chaotic fires that had scarred the land receded, leaving scorched traces as reminders of the fleeting nature of hubris. The lands, once vibrant and brimming with vitality, now bore the marks of his passing, forever changed yet tranquil in its aftermath. The flames of his journey now relinquished their hold, leaving behind the faint scent of smoke mingled with the warm earth. The river, in its gentle course, carried whispers downstream, tracing paths through the stories of old. It seemed to mourn yet celebrated, recognizing the inevitable cycles of nature and fate entwined. Thus, the world braced itself for the echoes of sorrow that were yet to come. For this tragedy would not just linger in the air. It would flow through the hearts of those left behind, those who loved Phaeton most intimately. Here, by the river where he had finally found peace, more tales were about to unfold. The time had come for the Heliades to face the immense solitude their brother's departure left behind. And in this quiet twilight, with a placid river bearing witness, the tale of their grief began to sow its roots, ready to unfurl into the realm of myth and memory. As the sun dipped beyond the horizon, a gentle twilight enveloped the riverbank of the Eridanos. Here, in the serene embrace of nature, the Heliades arrived, their hearts heavy with sorrow. The sisters, clad in garments that seemed to mirror the warm browns and golden hues of the forest around them, approached with trepidation. Their hearts quickened with each step, for they were about to confront the lifeless form of their beloved brother, Phaeton. Upon reaching the spot where his descent had ended, the Heliades beheld Phaeton, motionless and at peace amid the soft amber light of the setting sun. His flame-touched journey had come to a tragic end, leaving behind only the quiet embrace of earth and water. The sight of their brother, pale yet somehow serene, pierced their hearts like an eternal lament. They fell to their knees beside him, their tears beginning to flow, mingling with the gentle currents of the Eridanos. Each sister expressed her grief uniquely, revealing the depth of their love and loss. One, her voice barely above a whisper, spoke of the dreams Phaeton once shared with them beneath the guardian sun. Another clutched a small token from their childhood, pressing it close as though hoping to bridge the chasm between life and the abstract void that Phaeton now inhabited. Yet another, silent and still, let her tears do the speaking, each droplet a silvered monument to her grief. Amidst their shared sorrow, an aura of unity emerged, binding them closer. Helios, their father, watched from the heavens, his radiant gaze softened by the tender sight of his daughter's mourning. His sorrow was as palpable as their own, but from his celestial vantage he could only observe, powerless to alter the course now set by fate and folly. The Eridanos, ever-flowing, echoed the sisters' lament with a gentle, eternal whisper. Its water glided softly by, as if to cradle their sorrow and carry it lovingly into forever. Nature, too, seemed to pause, feeling their loss in a harmonious mourning. The trees swayed gently, their leaves murmuring wordless solace, while the earth remained still, offering silent support beneath their feet. In the calm of this sacred moment, the initial steps toward transformation quietly began. Their shared grief harmonized with the river's tranquil flow, marking the threshold of a new chapter in their eternal bond. Though the sisters remained unaware of the full extent of what was to come, the subtle shift in the air hinted at a change that would transcend the mortal coil, ensuring that their love and remembrance for Phaeton would not fade with time. As the twilight deepened, the Heliades continued to mourn, their tears resonating with purpose and resolve. The riverbank, now a sanctified ground for their sorrow, cradled them gently, promising that in time, their grief would transform into something enduring and beautiful. This was only the beginning of a journey that would see their sorrow perpetuated into a living testament, a transformation that would soon intertwine their being with the nature that surrounded them. In the quietude of their mourning, nature prepared to embrace the Heliades in an eternal bond. It was a silent promise that they could hold on to their brother's memory, cherished and unforgotten, while conceding to the inexorable rhythms of the universe. With this foundation gently laid, the serene river flowed on, a testament to the continuity of life and the imminent transformation awaiting the devoted sisters, a fate that would ensure Phaeton's legacy remained, casting an eternal shadow of memory along the river's edge. The Eridanos riverbank, under a tranquil night sky, became the stage for an eternal transformation. The Heliades, still suffused with the mournful echoes of their brother's loss, began to feel an immortal longing enveloping them. It was as if the very earth beneath them was whispering softly, promising solace beyond the confines of mortal life. Each sister, standing close to Phaeton's resting place, felt the first stirrings of change, an inevitable call beckoning them towards an immutable form. With each passing moment, their senses started gathering impressions of an impending transformation. The river flowed gently beside them, its murmurs synchronized with the beat of their hearts, much like a mother comforting her children. Nature, responding to their profound grief, initiated its subtle symphony of change. The Heliades began to become one with the riverbank, their essence slowly intertwining with the soil beneath their feet. The first signs of transformation emerged as delicate tingles were felt on their skin, a gentle resonance with the earth calling them home. It was not a violent metamorphosis, but rather a tranquil assimilation, as if their mournful tears only needed to touch the soil to awaken a new life. The physical sensations, like whispers from deep within the earth, assured them of their destined path. As roots began to extend beneath their feet, the sisters felt themselves being anchored to the spot, establishing a firm connection with the ground that was once merely a stage for their sorrow. Embracing the deepening bond with the earth, the Heliades sensed a profound tranquility filling them, knowing that their grief had found a resting place. Each sister felt her body slowly changing, as if the boundary between flesh and soil was dissolving, turning their earthly sorrow into eternal remembrance. Their limbs felt heavier, rooted, yet filled with a new kind of life and purpose, transcending the ephemeral nature of human existence. What might have been painful was tempered by a realization and acceptance of their fate. The hush of the night enveloped them, a blanket of stars above bearing silent witness to their transition. The Heliades embraced the certainty that their brother would forever be a part of them, not only in memory, but also in the form they were beginning to take. They no longer needed to fear their fate. Rather, they accepted the transformation as a call to eternal commemoration. As the roots spread, intertwining with the riverbank itself, nature's plan unfolded gently and organically. The connection with the earth deepened, each moment bonding them further to the soil, the water, the foliage, all elements of the natural world coming together in a symphony of life and loss. The Heliades realized that their transformation was not only their fate, it was a legacy, a living tribute to their brother. In this quiet evolution, they ceased to be mere mourners. They became symbols, ensuring that Phaeton's tale would live on. The river ran quietly beside them, carrying their story in its currents, while the earth cradled their roots, each twist and turn a testament to their love and devotion. As night passed and day dawned beyond the horizon, the Heliades stood firm in both spirit and form, ready to embrace their eternal role. The acceptance they found held a gentle strength, like the steady glow of stars in a midnight sky. With the calm assurance of nature's embrace, the transformation soothed their grief, filling it with purpose beyond personal pain. Thus, the Heliades took their first firm steps into eternity, their presence along the Eridanos riverbank becoming not just a mourning ground, but a sanctuary where love transcended mortal boundaries. As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the transformation of the Heliades continued with an ever-increasing pace. Standing by the Eridanos river, they felt their mortal forms continuing to dissolve into the eternal presence of nature. The gentle whisper of the river and the nurturing embrace of the earth guided them through this extraordinary process. Their skin began to shift, no longer soft, but transforming into a more resilient texture. Bark formed over what were once human arms, giving them the endurance necessary for the ages they were destined to witness. Tears that had flowed freely in their mourning were no longer simple drops of water. Transmuted by sorrow and divine influence, those tears became amber droplets, glistening in the early light like precious jewels scattered upon the ground. These amber tears, flowing from hollowed eyes, now encased in the bark, symbolized the deep love and loss they felt for their brother Phaeton. They fell gently to the earth, preserving the essence of their grief for eternity. The transformation then encompassed more than their physical forms. As branches and leaves emerged, reaching upward to greet their father Helios in the sky, so too did their spirits rise, capturing the sunlight within the golden leaves that fluttered in a soft morning breeze. The Heliades, now part tree, felt a comforting sense of solidity in their new forms. Their limbs, now branches, stretched skyward, reflecting a yearning for the warmth and love of the sun god they had known all their lives. As the process unfolded, the Heliades found solace in their transformation, embracing their eternal forms. Though their human voices could no longer lament in words, the rustle and hum of the leaves carried whispers of their undying love for Phaeton. Each creaking of their new wooden forms recounted the devotion and bond that transcended mortal existence. In this new state of being, the Heliades' hearts, woven into the essence of the trees, found peace in carrying the memory of their brother forever. Their transfiguration did not go unnoticed. As the Heliades transformed into majestic trees, the stories of their love and loss spread beyond the confines of the riverbank. Each amber tear that fell was gathered and carried downstream, eventually reaching distant lands where tales of the sisters' poignant metamorphosis became known. Travelers paused to observe the trees and listen to the leaves' murmurs, for each whisper was a fragment of the love and sacrifice that had unfolded by the river. Through their metamorphosis, the Heliades accepted their new roles as eternal symbols. Stories of their transformation echoed across the ancient world, ensuring that the Heliades' legacy would live on. As trees rooted deeply along the riverbank, they stood as a testament to the enduring nature of love and the timelessness of grief. The soft rustle of the Eridanos River resonated with their presence, transforming it into a living chronicle of emotions, embraced and transformed. The dawnlight continued to grow, wrapping the newly formed trees in a gentle, warm glow. The amber tears glistened like tiny suns caught in the rapture of the day's new light, a fitting tribute to the shine and courage they found in their brother Phaeton. The Heliades had achieved what they sought, to forever commemorate their bond through a transformation that eternalized their love and sorrow. The chapter ends as the sun rises higher in the sky, showering the Eridanos riverbank in an ethereal glow. The Heliades, now fully embraced by their new roles, stood ready to guide those who came seeking solace amidst the branches. They were more than just trees. They were living memorials of love, devotion, and unwavering remembrance. As the leaves danced in the gentle summer breeze, they whispered a promise to remain as a symbol of eternal love beneath the sun's watchful eye. As the soft morning light gently brushed the riverbank by the Eridanos, the Heliades stood seamlessly integrated into their surroundings, transformed into graceful willow trees. Their once human forms, now enveloped in bark and branches, embodied the serene grace of nature. The river, in its eternal flow, whispered soothingly against their roots, a lullaby to the sisters who had become an inseparable part of this landscape. The gentle rustling of leaves in the morning breeze seemed to echo their eternal lament, carrying with it stories of loss and love that spanned beyond the reach of time. With the Heliades now serving as new guardians of the riverbank, the environment thrived in peaceful coexistence. The trees stood as silent sentinels, witnessing the cycles of nature unfold around them. Their presence, though transformed, was a constant reminder of the deep bond they shared with their brother Phaeton, a living memory carved into the landscape. As the willow-like forms swayed, the sun bestowed its warm glow upon them, illuminating their amber tears. These tears, like droplets of sunlight, adorned the ground beneath with scattered gems of golden sorrow. Over time, the essence of the Heliades began to intertwine with other streams and rivers. Their tears, carried by the waters, became known far and wide, a symbol of eternal mourning. Legends grew around these amber trails, as if every stream wished to partake in the Heliades' lament, ensuring that their tale would never be forgotten. Travelers who ventured to the riverbank left with stories of the strange weeping trees whose origins resonated with the depths of human emotion. Each tear that fell into the gentle current carried with it a whisper of the sisters' love and loss, ensuring their story etched itself into the fabric of the world. The transformation of the Heliades became a part of the collective consciousness. As travelers gathered under the shade of the willow trees, they recounted tales of the sisters' enduring vigil over the river. The forest, learning to speak their eternal lament, became an amphitheater for their story, where every rustling leaf shared the Heliades' mourning song. The beauty of nature, intertwined with their grief, created a sanctuary where time seemed suspended, and the pulse of the earth echoed with affection and melancholy. The sisters' presence enriched the forest, their protection extending beyond the riverbank to nurture all life within their reach. At each dawn, the sun would rise to shed light upon the golden tears hanging from the branches, casting what seemed like a sacred glow upon the surroundings. This delicate illumination transformed the riverbank into a place of pilgrimage, where individuals came to remember, heal, and reflect. As the seasons shifted in their eternal dance, the Heliades stood unchanged, their sorrow resonating through the ages. They remained a beacon of love and remembrance, their vigil uninterrupted by the passage of time or the alterations of nature around them. As the world bore witness to their grief with each changing season, the Heliades transformation continued to inspire. They became symbols not only of mourning, but also of resilience and continuity in nature. Life flourished under their boughs, birds nested, and creatures found shelter among their roots. Through it all, the sisters' eternal lament remained a part of the world's rhythm, a background melody that celebrated not just the depth of their sorrow, but the love that anchored them to their place by the river. The story of the Heliades transformation and their enduring vigil by the river became one of nature's most profound testaments to love and remembrance. In their silent embrace of eternity, they were at peace, knowing their grief had transformed not only their own existence, but also the world around them. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the riverbank, the Heliades stood firm, their branches whispering the ancient story, a reminder that love and sorrow are eternally intertwined, forever. Rooted in the heart of nature, the transformation of the Heliades into trees had an indelible impact on their surroundings. Seasons flowed seamlessly around their static forms, an ever-changing tapestry of earth and sky, reflecting the constancy of their presence by the riverbank. With each passing year, buds would burst and fade, leaves would dance and fall, yet the trees held their vigil, resolute in their eternal state. Their newly given form, rooted deeply in the soil beside the Eridanos River, became a perennial spectacle for nature's cycle, highlighting how life continues around even the timeless. Beneath their willowy branches, life took refuge. Birds nested between the branches, weaving their songs into the gentle rustling of leaves. Small creatures scurried about, finding sanctuary and comfort at the roots of these sentinels, crafting homes that paid homage to their tragic origin. The trees were a constant reminder of a love steadfast beyond nature's usual fleeting bounds, offering their protective embrace to all who sought it. Thus, even in their stillness, the Heliades supported an abundance of life, spreading their quiet legacy. As the sun graced the horizon each day, its rays filtered through the foliage, casting mesmerizing patterns on the earth below. The land seemed to shimmer in response, with sunlight crafting intricate designs that danced with the breeze. This kaleidoscope of lights and shadows became a daily tapestry celebrated for its beauty and tranquility. Mortals who wandered by were often enchanted by the spectacle, seeing in it a reflection of the divine dance between lament and beauty the Heliades represented. It became apparent that these ever-changing patterns held the poetry of loss, transformed into something ineffably beautiful. The amber, once the sisters' tears, continued its journey far beyond the riverbank, carried gently downstream by the Eridanos' flow. This brilliant substance, formed from their sorrow, flowed as rivers do, reaching distant lands where tales of its wondrous origin proliferated. Villages and hamlets far and wide spoke of the myth, adding their own embellishments to the story, creating a rich oral tapestry that depicted the Heliades' enduring grief and love. These tales inspired awe and contemplation, ensuring that their story remained alive and resonant in the hearts of those who heard it. Artists and poets alike found inspiration in the tale of the Heliades, weaving their narratives and creations around this poignant emblem of transformation and eternal mourning. Paintings depicted the tranquil riverbank, with light cascading through the trees, and verses were written in tribute to the tears turned to amber. The myth found its form in countless creative expressions, breathing new life into the sorrowful sisters' legacy. Each brushstroke and line of poetry served to echo the story that nature whispered, coaxing generations to reflect on love's enduring power. The earth itself seemed to rejoice in the presence of the Heliades, as if aware of the sacred role they played in the vast theater of existence. Natural phenomena, such as the gentle rains that fell to nourish the earth or the symphony of winds that sang through leaves, celebrated the eternal bond between the sisters. Every facet of nature seemed aligned to remember them, acting as a living testament to their perpetual presence and the life-affirming power of their myth. Each subtle tremor of the earth, each breath of wind, seemed to echo with the memory of Phaeton, the brother for whom they grieved. The steady rhythm of life served as a constant reminder of the cherished bond they shared, transmuted now into something both universal and personal. The trees stood sentinel by the river, guardians of a memory that transcended the constraints of time. This eternal heartbeat resonated through the land, an unbroken melody of love and loss. As twilight approached, casting its gentle hues over the riverbank, the eternal reflection of the Heliades' love stood timelessly etched in the heart of nature. Sunlight, peeking through the foliage, continued to celebrate their existence, even as night fell softly upon the land. The world, in its quiet way, had embraced the Heliades' legacy, an eternal memorial that whispered stories of love that endured beyond the veil of mortal life. As twilight descended upon the ancient amphitheater, a cool breeze stirred the starry sky. The enchanting tale of the Heliades unfolded like a soft melody, captivating those gathered under the vast heavens. In this tranquil setting, bards, storytellers of old, took center stage. With voices as soothing as the river's gentle flow, they recounted the transformation of the Heliades into amber weeping trees, eternal witnesses to love and loss. The myth of the Heliades spread through their words, reaching far beyond the immediate circle of listeners, embedding itself in the firmament of mythological traditions. The narrative, like a river, flowed across lands and cultures. Each retelling added a new tributary, enriching the story's journey with diverse perspectives. In distant realms where the Epilogue River was but a whispered legend, the Heliades found new homes in the hearts of those who heard their tale. The amber from their tears became sought after, held aloft as symbols of remembrance and love, cherished as tokens connecting the present with the mythical past. Craftsmen fashioned jewels from the amber, while poets likened its warmth to the everlasting embrace shared among the stars and deities. The myth of the Heliades took on allegorical dimensions, transcending its original form to speak to universal themes. In their transformation, people saw metaphors of enduring sorrow languishing into beauty, and the passage from mortal grief to ethereal monument resonated in spiritual texts, philosophical musings, and artistic interpretations. Paintings depicting amber-studded landscapes hung in grand halls, capturing the allure of their story with colors of deep indigo and warm gold, echoing the hues of twilight and dawn within the minds of beholders. Their lament, woven into the tapestry of literature and folklore, enriched narratives far and wide. Stories unraveling their origin became a staple in cultural traditions, where the Heliades symbolized unyielding devotion and nature's gentle yet eternal cycles. Myth performers, with fiery lights on stage, captivated audiences who saw in the Heliades their own reflections of loss and transformation. The tale of the Heliades flowed like roots gripping the earth, fusing with the enduring myths that formed the bedrock of human culture. Through oral traditions and artifacts, a legacy emerged, connecting the Heliades with eras long past and realms still unexplored. Story flames, kindled in the amber reflections shining from the eyes of storytellers, danced behind shadows, brightening the universal pursuit of meaning and connection. Artisans carved delicate melodies inspired by their tale into lyres, while the narrative lingered in songs sung by wandering minstrels, echoing their sorrow throughout bustling marketplaces and serene temples as autumn leaves fell upon listening ears. As the myth ingrained itself deeper into the consciousness of societies, the spiritual significance of the Heliades amplified. Their story spoke of sorrow embraced and committed to eternal tranquility, exemplifying the rich heritage of shared human experiences. Across generations, seekers of wisdom found solace in the Heliades transformation, seeing in them a reflection of their own struggles, reconciled with nature's patient grace. By the gentle banks of the Eridanos River, the amber trees continued to watch over those who mourned, serving as a poignant reminder of memory and transformation. Their presence enriched the cultural tapestries of civilizations, intertwining the sacred threads of myth with the histories of nations. Under the cool twilight sky, the amphitheater echoed with applause, signaling an unending bond with the past, a testimony to the enduring power of myth and the Heliades' timeless journey into the Heliades, hearts and minds of mortals. With the conclusion of the bard's performance, a respected elder in the front row rose, his eyes glimmering with the reflections cast by the amber jewelry he wore, a pendant gifted centuries ago, during his travels along the Eridanos River. In his heart burned the eternal story of the Heliades, reminding him of timeless devotion and enduring love. As the applause faded into night, the stars above shimmered gently, offering their own acceptance of those forgotten by history, yet immortal through myth. In story bowed beneath starry grandeur, the Heliades endure, a legacy embracing nature's harmony, reminiscent of amber tears mingling with the flowing river, echoing the enduring bonds of brother and sister, fate and eternity. The legend of the Heliades whispered through time like an ancient wind, finding resonance in each cycle of life. Across generations, their tale mirrored the perpetual changes of nature, becoming a timeless reflection of mourning and remembrance. By the Eridanos River, where their presence had transformed into eternal symbols of grief, visitors gathered to find solace beneath their branches. These mourners, drawn to the grove by an inexplicable pull, often came in silence, their own sorrows finding a kindred spirit in the amber tears that dripped from the trees, staining the riverbank with glistening memories. In this sacred grove, where the Heliades stood resolute, philosophers and thinkers sought to unravel the deeper mysteries of eternal transformation. They contemplated the myth, pondering how beings once filled with sorrow could become enduring guardians of nature's eternal rhythm. These thinkers found beauty in the idea that the Heliades, in their grief, had merged with the world around them, becoming a part of the cyclical pattern of life and death, hope and despair. The amber, once the tears of sorrowful sisters, became symbolic of remembrance, cherished by those who yearn to hold on to memories of love and loss. The transformation of the Heliades into trees marked them not only as timeless symbols, but also as silent sentinels of collective sorrow. Under their watchful branches, people gathered and reflected upon their own experiences of loss and healing. The trees provided a sanctuary, a place where shared grief felt less burdensome, a repository of emotions that transcended the individual. In the serene embrace of the Heliades branches, visitors found moments of quiet reflection, allowing them to confront, accept, and transcend their personal sorrows. Philosophers would often linger by the river, where moonlight danced upon the water's surface, merging with the amber reflections in a mesmerizing display of silver and gold. Here, they delved into existential themes of transformation and immortality, seeing in the Heliades a perfect illustration of life's continuity, even in the face of profound sorrow. Philosophers thus envisioned the Heliades as metaphors for humanity's journey, a timeless reminder that from anguish can emerge beauty and eternal remembrance. As the myth continued to weave itself into the tapestry of human tradition, the amber collected from the tree's tears became a cherished token, a physical embodiment of the sisters' eternal lament. Craftsmen and artisans revered these amber pieces, transforming them into jewels and ornaments, gifting them with sacred significance. Each piece of amber held within its golden depths a story of devotion and mourning, reminding all who gazed upon it of the transcendence of love beyond mortal bounds. Under the protective canopy of the Heliades branches, people felt a sense of connection not only to nature but to generations past. They listened to the hushed stories carried on the gentle zephyr, tales that spoke of love, loss, and transformation, stories that echoed the cycles of sorrow and renewal that each person, at some point, must traverse. It was here that the Heliades truly became guardians of collective sorrow, protectors of the memories and emotions of those who sought refuge beneath their branches. Through each season's changing colors, from the crisp silvers of winter to the vibrant greens of spring and the warm hues of autumn, the trees remained steadfast symbols of enduring grief and renewal. The cyclical nature of their existence mirrored the rhythms of human life, where mourning gave way to healing and remembrance. It was a pattern that promised hope, showing that sorrow, while eternal, could also birth beauty and new beginnings. Believers and seekers continued to arrive at the grove, drawn by the unspoken promise of reconciliation and understanding. With each footfall upon the sacred ground, they added their own stories to the collective memory, amplifying the reach of the Heliades' timeless myth. As they witnessed the amber tears dripping silently into the river, a sense of peace washed over them, reaffirming the universality and acceptance of grief as a part of life's journey. With the stars beginning to twinkle in the midnight blue sky, the grove by the Eridanos River stood as a testament to the Heliades' enduring legacy. Their story, seamlessly interwoven into the human experience, reminded all that even in sorrow. With this understanding, each visitor left the grove, carrying with them a piece of the Heliades' eternal remembrance, now ready to soar into the final resolution of their tale. As the twilight descended over the ancient lands, the Eridanos River flowed with a soft murmur, echoing the tale of eternal transformation. Along its banks, the Heliades stood, a serene testament to their love and mourning. In their final acceptance, the sisters felt the earth's gentle embrace, securing their place in the world of nature, forever bound to its cycles and rhythms. The river, a constant companion, carried their amber tears onward through time, ensuring that their story would never fade from the memory of those who wandered by their resting place. Helios, ever watchful from his celestial path, cast his gaze upon his daughters with an undying love that transcended the realms of mortals and gods alike. Each sunrise and sunset was touched by the memory of Phaeton as Helios's light shimmered through the leaves and gilded the amber beads that hung so delicately from the sisters' boughs. The brilliance of these golden orbs mirrored sunlight's own warmth, a perpetual reminder of the love that binds family beyond adversity and the cosmos's vastness. Nature itself, seemingly aware of the myth's boundless endurance, celebrated the sisters' transformation into lasting symbols of devotion and remembrance. With every gentle breeze that rustled their branches and every soft rain that nourished the soil, the forest acknowledged their timeless presence. The Heliades, now trees of grace and sorrow interwoven, stood proud as eternal markers of love profound. They were monuments to a bond unbroken by fate, sorrow, or transformation, their roots tethered deep into the land they cherished and mourned upon. Visitors to this sacred grove often paused, drawn to the tranquility and history whispering among the leaves. As they sat in quiet contemplation, the world faded into the background, allowing the heartbeats of the earth and the gentle flow of the river to fill their senses. The air here was thick with stories, the very atmosphere woven with threads of myth and memory. Many found solace beneath the Heliades' heavy canopy, enraptured by the echoes of an ancient lament that still lingered between earth and sky. As the river continued its endless journey, it carried with it the stories of the amber droplets, each one a poem of remembrance tending to the mortals who sought understanding and comfort. These tales were whispered from village to village, each retelling adding another layer to their enduring mythology. In this way, the sisters' story extended beyond the confines of time and geography, resonating in the hearts of all who listened. In the quiet moments of dawn and dusk, Helios often paused in his journey across the heavens, offering a celestial caress through his light to the trees that bore witness to his son's legacy. The golden hues of twilight painted the riverbank, casting the entire landscape in a rich, dreamlike glow. This cycle of day and night became a metaphoric echo of the sisters' own transformation from mourning into enduring symbols of love and memory. With the changing seasons, the myth of the Heliades took on a life of its own, inspiring artists and poets to capture their grace in words, paintings, and songs. These creative expressions continued to breathe new life into an age-old tale. The sisters, now ethereal storytellers themselves through their perpetual presence, stood as guardians over the passage of time, their transformation celebrated as much for its beauty as for the Thor. Lessons in loss and love it imparted. And so, as spring leaned softly into summer, the grove stood verdant and alive, each leaf whispering secrets to those who would listen. The amber beads, each a tiny heart filled with light, continued to capture the world's fascination, speaking to the present of a past filled with heroic ambition, devastating loss, and unending love. The Heliades, through their sacrifice and transformation, became an eternal part of the Earth's tapestry, a gentle reminder of the impermanence of life and the lasting nature of love. In closing, amidst the tranquil landscape, the Heliades story concluded with a serene acceptance. The sisters' legacy remained etched in both the hearts of mortals and the undying rhythms of nature. The river carried their story forward, a gentle, eternal current of remembrance. Visitors departed from this sacred place, their spirits renewed by the undying devotion that these trees symbolized. Though the myth unraveled into eternity, the sense of remembrance stayed nestled in the hearts of those who understood that love, though intertwined with sorrow, could lead to a transformative forever.